introduce two different acronyms. One is KPIs. You're probably really familiar with KPIs, key performance indicators. The other one is KBIs, key behavioral indicators. When we are working in an organization, we're looking at the culture, or when we are within a team and we're looking at how effective or how high performing we are, or maybe even as how do I lead as a leader, like how effective am I? There are key performance indicators that every organization, team, and individual is responsible for meeting. That's part of how business gets done. What we don't pay enough attention to are the key behavioral indicators. Has anyone worked with someone who met the goals, the KPIs, and yet left a trail of blood, sweat, and tears in their wake? It's because key behavioral indicators weren't being paid enough attention to, or maybe even honored that way. When we look at key behavioral indicators, we're actually looking at data that says, in what way can I behave in a way that is very effective, very fruitful for the team and for the organization? Traditional feedback tends to just ask for basically your perspective and your opinion, which is not a bad thing. But what do you do with that? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, if we were to ask people like, how satisfied are you? And a lot of people, maybe they're marking an 8 out of 10. We're going to get some feedback from that survey that says, hey, like we're getting basically 8 out of 10. Hey, everyone's pretty satisfied. But here's the difference that the trust within assessment tools measure. And that is we look at the gap between what is the expectation that individuals hold and what is their real lived experience. We do that at the organizational level, we do that at the team level, as well as asking people when we do multi-rater feedback on a leader, what is the expectation of that leader in terms of the people they're working with? How much trust do they expect? What are those kind of behaviors that build trust? Are they expecting more than what they're actually experiencing? That gives us some real data to look at in that gap, because those perceptions of what's happening versus really what we want to happen is where we're going to find the dissatisfaction, where we find the growth edge available to any one of us in an organization or anyone on the team or the leader itself. That's what I really think traditional feedback tools miss, is really paying attention to the gap. Where we like to use the data as an entry point to the deeper conversation is because oftentimes we know something isn't right, but we can't quite put our finger on it. When you use a survey like the employee passion survey or the team alignment survey or even the flexibility and trust survey, we're providing data for those moments where you're like, I can't quite touch it. I know something's up. I don't know how to articulate it. The data becomes the doorway to the deeper conversation. It also helps to anchor some of that stuff that we're feeling is off, to say, that's why. Oh, it's this particular behavior, or it's this particular value, or it's a need that isn't being satisfied or met. Now I have a roadmap to know how do I close that gap, or where do I move or direct my attention in the next 30, 60, 90 days, or even for the year. I think that's the benefit and the incredible value that our tools offer.